Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to She Talk with me, Hadiza Patrick Otora. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me on today's show. And today I'll be talking about very subtle but extreme forms of abuse that we have going on. And a lot of times we ignore them. We think it's normal. We tolerate it until years go by, and then we look at a picture, we see a text message, and then we have this feeling, overwhelming feeling like, how did I survive that period of my life with this person? There are times that you are going to a certain job, everybody feels like you're in your dream job. Everyone seems to congratulate you or treat you with some sort of respect and honor you because you work in a certain place, or they come to you because they feel like you are now married and so you have the best of advice to give, or that you're working in a certain department in your spiritual place of worship, or that because you are aligned to certain things or certain persons, and so you have some direct um, knowledge of what it means to be free. But the truth is that in every relationship, I must say, and all types of relationship, whether it's siblings, parents, teachers, colleagues, um, wherever, even your customer in the market, there are all forms of abuses that go on. Abusers intentionally frighten, intimidate, terrorize, manipulate, wound, humiliate, or injure their victims. Abuse is not clear cut, and emotional abuse is particularly very confusing. The reason for this topic is if you watch the video that we got to watch the other day of the lady who was beaten by her. Some people say, some online people say it's her brother. The lady came to make sure he doesn't abuse his wife. That she found that he was abusing his wife, and she came to make peace in the house, and he told her to leave the house. Whereas others say she is his wife. Whichever way it goes, there was abuse. If I don't know if you watched it, it was something that happened in Benue State, and this man was beating this lady with a belt, and she was shouting blood of Jesus," and she just stood her ground. You know, years ago, my pastor said something very profound. She said, if some women would die and go to the life afterward, whether heaven or hell, depending on how you live, the fact that you're beaten does not mean you will be exempted from hell. Believe you me, a sinner is a sinner. I'm not here to preach. But when you get there, she says that you would ask the Almighty, why didn't you deliver me from this man? I prayed. I went to all the prayer houses. I sought every kind of counseling. Why didn't you deliver me? And he'll say, why did I give you legs? Why didn't you run? My point is exactly when I saw her being beaten, I said, why is she not running? He's practically pushing you out. But of course, you must realize that a lot of times when a woman leaves her marital home, as where abuse is being done, we all say to her, she left. You know, the foolish woman, she left, she left. There's always a thing like leaving is a defeatist point of view, or that you are a failure or a weak person to have left a particular place where you have been abused, which, to be very honest, I find that the strongest persons, the strongest people ever are people who are able to walk away from any form of abuse being meted to them. Yes, the ability to walk away shows your strength. The moment you recognize that I'm being abused, and my rights are not aligned, and that I'm not the person I'm supposed to be in this relationship, and you walk away, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a job situation, and you walk away, it makes you a strong person. Being weak is to stay subjected and be in slavery of that person's wicked and narcissistic attitude toward you, or mean, uh, abusive ways of dealing with you. So I'm hoping that in these few minutes I'll be able to talk with us to see and highlight some of the things that you're going through that you think is normal in your relationships. And mark you, I'm not just talking about marriage, I'm talking about friendships. A girl and her friends, a guy with his friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your siblings, your older siblings or younger siblings, your parents. I'm talking about your office situation, and I'm talking about even your parents and spiritual leaders over you. we have a slavery mentality that still goes on around us, where once a person is a place of authority above us, there's a slavery expected from you versus service. We demand that a person is totally subjected to us, that whatever we say is yes and amen, whatever we say goes and must be taken and heeded to, or else the person does not obey or does not regard or honor, as we use that word honor a lot in every form, whether it's a relationship of two adults, a consenting adults, or it is any other form. You see the boss in the office say, you don't obey me, you are, there's that word they like to use, insubordination, or you find people who are older than you or spiritually higher than you say, you do not honor me. So let's go on to our show. Okay, so a lot of times, from when I've spoken to people, and even in my own personal life, like I said, no relationship really has escaped abuse in one way or the other. It's just that we don't recognize them. So I'm hoping that when I highlight some of these things, you would see how it's been done to you. So let me just start by talking about how it begins, and let you know that there are 4 stages of abuse. And so the first is tension. The tension builds up, communication breaks down. You as the victim become tearful or fearful. To feel safe, you will feel and need a place you need to please your abuser and become like a child. You go, you kneel down, you try to wash their things, you try to send them something, you try just to make sure, because tension is built up. So for instance, food is supposed to be present by 7 p.m. and for some reason it gets to 8 p.m. The person says, I'm not eating. They don't talk to you. The next morning, they don't answer your greeting. Then you ask them something, don't talk to me, or excuse me. And then when you want to talk about it, then they would explode. Okay, so let me stay with the tension first. So the first stage of abuse is that the person starts to always create tension. For instance, if you talk to people a lot after church service or after work, you stay with some colleagues or you hang out with some colleagues, the moment you get home or you get to a place where both of you are meeting or the person is waiting for you, the person will refuse to answer your greeting or would answer you grudgingly. You would get to the next home or something, the person would not answer you. So you come to the office and let's say you greet your boss, and then he says, and he says, come here. What is it? Things that normally he would talk to you about, he now starts to scream about it, or he's accusing you of stuff, or sending you on errands that seems so out of your job description. And suddenly you feel a tension being built up. For some people, friends, you meet them at the ceremony and then they don't greet you. They see you probably at the same table or the person's next table. You have categorically known that both of you are friends. You bought this Ashwebi at the same time, or you went to this venue at the same time, and suddenly the person is not talking to you anymore. They try as much as possible to talk to other people but you, and whenever you come near, then there's a sense of irritation that they send toward you. Probably you came in their car and suddenly you feel like, I can't be in this car. And probably when you're about to leave, you see them walking out with their bags and they're leaving. And then you go after them, are we leaving? Of course, now, do you think I'm sitting down here? We came together. I mean, you should say, let's go, but the person is leaving. Suddenly, tension is being built up. That person is begin to fawn you, FAWN. So it's a found response. They begin to, it's like a child. It's like to train you. They begin to come up with tension places where they put you in a corner because they are beginning to train you to get used to abuse. They're going to train your mentality. They're trying to train. There's this word you use when someone is, when you find a child and you're trying to train the child so I can abuse them down the road. Please, if anybody remembers that word, put it up here so I can use it. But that person begins to create tension between two of you. That tension is intentional. It's intentional to begin to manipulate you to a place where when it comes to money, when they say, I want money, you would give it without question. That when they ask you about your dealings with someone, you would answer with fear in your eyes. We do it with our children. Come, where are you coming from? Then they start to stammer because once they came out of the kitchen and they're eating something and you screamed at them, or you beat them, or they went to the neighbor's house and you beat them. So they could just be coming outside from playing at the playground or in your compound, and they're coming in. But because you've subjected them to some sort of tension in the past when they had gone outside the gate or to to your neighbor's house, who you consider a witch, you have screamed at them, you had reacted, then they begin to doubt if sitting down outside would even make any meaning to you for you to understand. And so they start to lie or stammer or this. No, I was just outside. I wanted to play with the dog. And I said, so you should say so. But you see, you had created that tension already because you are grooming. That's the word. The person is grooming you for abuse. So if there's some people, you are very popular with people, you talk to everybody, you go to markets, you already make friends, in fact, you're passing, you're there, hey, I'm not, cause why are you there, are you there, are you there? You go to church, oh, everybody's talking to you, sister this, sister that, and the guy is standing there fuming. The moment you look at his face, you know that because he has groomed you about you being too popular, and like, he doesn't like a woman who's too popular everywhere. They know her everywhere. You know, he's mentioned it before, and then when you didn't take heed, he pulled back. He created tension. The moment you look at his face, you know tension is about to happen. And so suddenly you find yourself between two people and running off. Anybody wants to say, call me, just call me. Or you have a phone. The moment you use your phone, he starts to frown. No reason. He had the conversation. Or maybe you just finished the conversation 1-2 times. He was coming in just by coincidence. You dropped the phone. At the time he's coming in, no intention to not let him be privy to the conversation, but he takes offense or she takes offense because women are known to do that. And you can tell he's talking to his colleague or even his cousin, but because the woman on the end and he's laughing, and then she starts to bone. Are we going? No, I'm not going. No, I'm not going. And then the person is creating tension. That, my friend, is the person is grooming you for abuse. Then the next one is the incident. So the abuser explodes verbally, emotionally, physically, anger, blaming, arguing, threats, and intimidation. So that's the next step. So they've done all the tension, they've put up tension long enough. And sometimes you get used to tension, like, please, I can do with this. And then the next step would be they would explode. So you would expect a conversation, for instance, why food wasn't ready at 7 p.m. or why today you had to talk with extra people at church or in your mosque, or why you had to take some phone calls late, or because you stayed up late at work. You have your explanation. But before you say a word, this person begins to just explode. What is wrong with you? Why are you like this? Can't I say something and you do it? Why? I didn't plan for this. I didn't anticipate for this kind of person. I didn't want this kind of person. Yeah, blah 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 blah. They can be physical. They can shove you. They can slap you. But I'm talking about real people who the things that we take for granted are the ones that don't really touch you. So they explode. Then they get angry, then they throw things, then they blame you for why they are like this. They blame you. That's why your mother doesn't like you. That's why you don't have friends. That's why you don't have friends. That's why you don't have friends. All your friends are quarreling with you. That's why nobody likes you. They blame you. They blame you for their problems. That's why nobody comes to this house. That's why nobody comes into this marriage. That's why this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the therapist is here. Naomi, she says some people come into marriage with this form of abuse from parents. Yes, exactly. So, and let me tell you, once you start to start that kind of attitude of grooming, and you have small children, watch and see. They're going to start with everybody in the house. So a child, you tell him you can't have chocolate, you can't have this, he would begin to form tension between yourself and him. He won't play with the other kids. He won't talk to you. He probably will eat. You go and sit in the corner until you come, and then you have to please them. So you need to watch it. And if you think that your partner is doing it, and you're like, I'm going to protect my children. No, children are not moved by how many scriptures you read on their head. The children are formed by what you do and say, especially when you're not talking to them, you are doing to someone else. Children, ask any teacher, ask anybody who's dealt with you with children. Children would you can. That's why you see a lot of times they say pastors' children go wrong or clergy children go wrong. It's not wrong. It's because their parents are doing a lot of talking and bringing up scriptures and doing a lot of things, while the kid is looking how they treat people, how they treat their mothers, how they treat their servants, how they treat church members, what they say about them behind their backs, and blah blah, and so on and so forth. And so you need to watch out for that. So when that person, the second stage is that person, now the person has groomed you, the person has shaped you to a place of tension, wants to see their face, once you are doing that thing you think will cause tension, which must be normal. And usually you're not doing something extraordinary, you're doing something as your personality, but because they want to make sure they curb that part of you and have control over that. For instance, I like to use the ones of friends. You have a lot of friends come into your house, go out, you're on the phone, friends, weekend for somebody's wedding, and blah blah blah. And they don't have that kind of orientation. And to them, friends always represent failure, a sense of incompleteness, you know. And then they want to make sure that you are like them, that you are not the opposite of them. Instead of celebrating the opposite that you bring, they want to bring you to where it's just you and I that are friends. Since I don't have friends, and the person would use themselves as an example of being a perfect person who doesn't have friends, and so there's no wahala in their life. No, that's wrong, because we are very, very social animals. We work better when we work with other human beings. We our best comes out of it. So the person explodes in your face and does blaming. They threaten you. They're trying to leave. They're trying to get you out of the house and all sorts. And then they try to intimidate you. Either they withhold something, they withhold money, they withhold affection, sex, they withhold conversation, they withhold affirmations and compliments. You probably had that misunderstanding on the Friday. Saturday, you're going for a wedding. You look cute. You look extravagantly, exquisitely elegant. You look like the bride's mother. You look out of this world. Probably never looked like that before. Or is your regular look, but you of course we all need some sort of affirmation and compliments in our life. But this person totally ignore you. Even when you say, "How do I look?" "Yeah, okay," just so you know that you have offended them and they're carrying on. The next stage of abuse would be reconciliation. So the abuser apologizes, they give excuses why they did it. It's because of where I grew up, it's the way I that's what, it's because I love you. It's because I want the best for you. I've seen this happen before. That's Alagbaja's wife. She got into trouble because she had lots of friends. Blah, 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 blah. They give example about how, the great Buddha said, blah, 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 blah. He who has too many friends has too many sins in the life. That kind of thing. They're not apologizing, but they're making you see how bad you are. Then they blame you. They deny that abuse happened. So using the instance about friends like I talked about, it's never happened to me. So I'm just using instances where I have heard people talk to me concerning things that happened like that before. So this friend, you go to a wedding together, and the person, the moment you get there, first of all, when they were picking you up, because their car, which has never happened before. Person does the grudging, hurry, I get very late. You're always late. You're always coming out late. You're always there. And then wondering from where, oh, sorry, it's because blah, 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 gets the car. They get to the location, then they find another table other than yours and sit down. Or they sit with you, but they totally ignore you. You're trying to, as usual, you guys talk about the decor, the bride's wears, or the mother of the bride, or whatever it is. But then suddenly you find that she wants to buy, then she turns to the person and then she talks, and then totally ignoring you. Getting up to dance, usually you say, let's go and dance. When you say, let's go and dance, she says, no, I don't feel like dancing. The moment you sit down, she gets up to go and dance, and then she dances and then everything, but you're still like, okay, something is going on because I was late coming out. Let's give it a bit. Then she wants to go, she carries her bag and goes, and then you go like, are you leaving? Yeah, yes, now it's not time to go. Are we going to be there for a whole day? And then now you know something is up. You get into the car, she doesn't want to talk about anything. She puts music very loud, or tries to talk to someone on her Bluetooth phone, and so on and so forth. So you get. Yes. She says, this is so common. Accusers and their excuses are nauseating. I'm telling you. So she gets and drops you off, and you're saying bye. She goes, I'm in a hurry. I need to go, and she goes. You call her later, she's not picking up her phone. You call later, she doesn't answer. So you find a time and sit down and say, what's going on? And I go, oh, she calls you later and say, see, I go out of my, or even in the car, I go out of my way to go and pick you up. It's not easy. I leave my house from Asokoro to go and pick you up in Gwarimpa. From Gwarimpa, now it's not easy. I use fuel, I use this, I use this, I use that. What is this step? Hey, you could have entered drop after you. And she goes, and these are besties. You who are besties, like, you know yourselves, you know where the dead bodies are, you know the skeletons in the wardrobe. But suddenly this person has a car and wants to assert their power or wealth over you, and they're behaving like that, and you are left dumbfounded, like, the person explodes, and then so you said, okay, let's talk about it. Or she goes there, and I just want about that thing that happened. And then they start to apologize, and they start to give excuse. You know, it's you. You know, every time you enter car, and most of that other day you enter the car, your shoe was dirty. You entered with muddy shoes into the car. I just didn't talk because let it not look like I have a car and I'm driving you. And then they deny. No, oh, I didn't do that. Too. Look at now the wedding. I was being the one that offered you to come and buy it. I was the one who did this. I was the one who did that. I was the one who did. No, 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 no. I don't. How would I know I've talked to you now? Oh, am I that Pexy that won't talk to you? Do you understand? They would deny the fact that they had abused you or that abuse had happened at any point in time. They would make excuses for themselves always, you know, and they would also claim that it's not as bad as you think it is. Okay, so the incident. So when I talked about the incident, I talked about how they would withhold things. For instance, your husband withholds money for feeding, for the kids, or for the house. And then when you are reconciling, they go like, and you go like, we didn't have Pampers. I used to use napkin. Mothers have been using napkin for a long time now. It was not just for 2 days. No, the Pampers were plenty. Or no, 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 no. I don't remember that. I remember I sent you money on the 10th of this month, and it's just the 20th. So would they have done money in 20 days? Well, no, it was last month you sent me this money, 30,000 at the end of the month on the 30th, and the person goes, no, it was I haven't go through my phone. It's start searching, but I'm very certain. You know, they would actually want to make you believe that you must be crazy to think that what they're doing to you is abuse. You go to office, you go to meet your boss. So I want to know if I've done anything wrong. This answer is exploding on you. There's a meeting. You know, the first one, it puts you in fear by ordering you to do things that you usually don't do. Maybe what junior workers would do. Then you come to his office, he has a meeting, and then you say, can I say, you don't say anything, I don't say anything here. Anytime you have make a suggestion, it's stupid. It's that. He finishes you in front of everybody. Then you go for reconciliation, or he calls you after feeling bad, or someone talks to them, or they want to make sure that everybody thinks they're saintly, they are good, though it's not like they're bad. And then you go say, no, you see, I have high expectations from you because you know in your CV even you are very intelligent. I just depend on you for some things in this department. But since the past 2 weeks, you've been behaving da 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 da. No, 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 no. Don't see it like I was shouting at you. It wasn't a personal thing. Don't see it as a personal thing. Don't see it as a personal thing. It's actually something that that is the way I just like to express myself. I'm very, very emotional. I'm very, 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 very emotional about this job. I am sold out to this job, and I want the best. And you see, when I talk to you like that, I just want the best from you. I just want you to be better. I just want you to be better. Now you're seeing the subtle abuse you're going through. It may be your clergyman. Person gets on the pulpit and starts to just attack all ushers or all the people in the worship team. I said, that's how all of you sleeping around. All of you be doing rubbish. None of you are praying. That's how worship. What if it was a day everybody had a little emotional things happening going on and nobody knows about it? And then they come and or the worship leader goes through the emotional things. I really don't understand why you think that people who come to church are not really needing help, you know, or go to the mosque. You go. Those of you who will not say your 5 days, your 5 prayers a day, what? And the person just rubs or sees you're telling people, see, I don't like the way you're doing things. If you don't want to serve, go home, go home, go home, go and sit at home. You don't need to be here. What? And people who will be diligent in doing this work of the Father. And then later, because really, when I'm doing this, is like a father to their children. You know, I to make sure that you are doing the right things. Like I say, until your pastor has pastors abroad, America, US, UK, Europe, they will never understand what you are doing. What you are doing is giving your life completely, because those hours are billable hours. I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm just talking about the abuses we go through. See, Naomi, I didn't even know you had this experience. I had this experience last week with someone, and he's a clergyman. I was happy to work away from the job. Truly, the people will come up, your parents will say, I am trying to help you. See, I'm trying to shape you. And if you do that, if you're a parent, you need to stop it. I'm trying to shape your life. I'm trying to make sure you come out as a better human being. I want you to be well to the society. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah, if you see it as abuse, that's your business. I'm going to do my best to make sure. No, 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 no. It's wrong. It is wrong. It's a subtle way, it's extreme abuse. It is subtle, but it is extreme abuse. I used to have this person in my life who would shout and shout and shout. So one day when I confronted this person, I said to the person, if you really believe that this was a spiritual thing, how come God is not? I said to the person, are you perfect before God? The person says no. I said, so how come God has not sent thunder and lightning to strike you? Because I've seen people who thunder had struck down, they're not dead, or at least this thunder will strike near you, so you know you've done something wrong. So how come I mean, how come thunder wouldn't just, the moment you're doing wrong, we hear thunder and everybody and just know it's you he's talking to. So you can't give me what you're not receiving in your life. And if you say it's on the inside that you're being, which I've heard that argument about that, God would disturb me, or the Holy Spirit disturb me, or whatever it is would disturb me, I would hear the word. Let me tell you, that is what you are supposed to do. So if you're an inner voice, you talk to the person as an inner voice. As long as we can't hear when divinity is talking to you loud and rebuking you loud, you should talk to the person also in a calm voice that would be on the sound almost like it's on the inside versus shouting. Every time you find yourself shouting at someone over an offense, you are abusing the person. Every time you find yourself being shouted at, first attention is created. A person doesn't talk to you, ignores you. You go and greet Papa good morning, doesn't answer you. You go and greet boss good morning, you don't answer you. Already the tension is the person is grooming you. Then they shout at you, and then they call you for reconciliation. Then they tell you it's not as bad, it's for your good. I'm just trying to make sure your life is good. That is not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And lastly, the last stage of abuse would be calm after the storm. So all is forgiven and forgotten. No abuse is occurring during the circle. This is known as the honeymoon stage. Now, let me tell you something about this honeymoon stage. It's so weird that it's going to look like the most perfect life, because this person may buy you gifts, may buy you a car, this person may promote you, this person may increase your salary, this person may make you head of department, this person may show you off, take a picture, put you on social media, whatever, and it just seems like everything is perfect. And you do that one thing that they've been hoping you would do, and they explode in it. Okay, so quickly, I've got just a few minutes. I'm going to tell you some of the abuse that you would be experiencing. I just told you the stages, how the person gets manipulated to put you in a place. And a lot of these people do, and they keep you in that place for as long as they want to. And that is all grooming. It's all grooming. Once you find this person does it the same way, it keeps going over and over again. It's like a circle. They do it after a month of trying to make sure they control who your friends are, where you go to, who you talk to, what you do, how you keep them, how you keep their plates, how you do this, how you clean the house, how you do this or that. And then they shout at you or do all things I talked about. Then they try to reconcile, but not admitting to their fault. And then they scam, they try to buy, just wait, they're going to start all over again. They do this long enough, one day they will not need to do all that, because at that point in time, you are already their slave and you are subjected to their abuse. Whenever they want to abuse you, they will just have to look at you a certain way or have a certain frown on their face, and you would behave yourself the way they have groomed you to behave yourself. So one of the ways we can find abuse going on is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse where the abuser manipulates the victim into doubting their own memory, perception, sanity. This can be done through lying, denying, or even trivializing the victim's experience. So gaslighting, the person would actually get you to a place where you are totally angry, or you are upset, or you are beginning to rebel against the abuse. And then the moment you say, this is what I don't like, when did I do that? Hey, you can lie. My God. In fact, let me qualify you to tell me. Me. Go and ask my mother. I can never do this. Go and ask her. I can never do that. It is not my intention to do this. If you see me talk like that, I'm always talking from a place of passion. I'm talking from a place of love. Me that love, I desire that everybody be like me. Hey, me. When did this happen? No. It can't be me. That's gaslighting. Gaslighting is someone making you believe that thing didn't happen. It was all a furtherance of your imagination. You are the person who is doing it. So check and see who does that to you. Does your parents do that? Does your siblings, your boss, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friends, your neighbors? Who does that to you? Gaslighting is very, very easy. It's so easy. You would come and I probably would let's say my friend says, borrow me 5,000 naira, give her 5,000 naira. And then I come and say, where's my 5,000? But don't use that too. No, no, we're talking. Even 75,000, I should hold it. This guy's letting right there. Because honestly, you can't deny it because it sounds like it's 5,000 naira, but that is gaslighting. And that in itself is abuse. That in itself is abuse. So next one is coercive control. Coercive control actually is a pattern of behavior that seeks to take away the victim's agency and control over their own life. This includes or limits to the victim's access to money, isolating them from friends and family, and controlling their daily lives. I mentioned it earlier, when person is grooming you, they start to take away friends, they take out your relations. You know, you can't go to your mom, you're always at your mom's place. What is it? After it's been said that the two shall become one, and we shall leave your father and mother. And this is both ways. Women make their demands and men make their demands also on their spouses. They know it's been said, your friends are more important than me. You're always hanging out with your friends to watch football. You're always hanging out with your girlfriends. You're always going for this primacy. You're always going for this. No, 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 no. I think that we're building this family. We should learn to be together. So get to know each other together. Together. We should always be together. Once you feel tomorrow, just come back. I mean, we have to live 10 hours to be together. And so in so doing, they isolate you. It's a positive control. It actually would show you sort of reality or things that you're supposed to do, as if to say you are stupid enough not to know that these are things that you need to do. Do you understand? The person would probably say, for instance, will make sure that every month and they give you exactly 30,000 naira. And it's been going on for like 5 years. Things have increased in the market, but they give you that 30,000 naira. And if you complain, they will tell you how you should be able to manage it, how other people are managing it. As a matter of fact, they try to make sure that in some cases, the men will go to market. They know the customers, they pay the customers directly. You go and collect it from the market. They'll be like, I'm trying to save you. Just make sure that you don't walk around the market, the top of the market, you shall pay them everything. You go to a certain store, the person has already given them the list, and that's usually meant they're giving the list, and you are just to go and collect this. And you can't add anything to it. There's control going on, especially when it comes to money. So you don't know how much comes in when you know that there's a target money given to you. And next one, and also that like I said before, it also would include limiting you to friends, to fellowship, to gatherings, going for parties. There are some men that say, I have too many parties every weekend, go for parties. No, I want to just choose one in a month and go, and that's it. In fact, from now on, I think we should just go to family and friends parties. Because you see all this exposure too much, it brings about disrespect, it brings about this. But now we're at a place in our lives where we can't interact with just everybody. There's also some exclusive people to interact with, and then after we go see finish, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, so on and so forth. Because they're afraid that your networking would expose you to better places. Yes, manipulation and gaslighting goes hand in hand. Absolutely. Honestly, it does. Then the next is passive aggressive behavior. Passive aggressive behavior is a form of emotional abuse that involves indirect aggression, such as sarcasm, backhanded compliments, and withholding affection and support. So a person would be abusing you. For instance, the person you go, today when I don't wear you, do wear better clothes. Meaning that every day you wear dirty clothes. So the moment you're going to see them, you start to check what you're going to. You don't change this hairstyle. No. You don't eat better food, don't see your skin. You don't need buy food. This is not your skin don't they like this. Now better food. Indirectly telling you that you are bleaching. Then they will give you backhanded compliments. That's exactly what I said. Today you don't wear colored clothes. That's good though. You're holding affections and support. So you meet a friend, everybody else tells you, oh, you look beautiful, your hair is nice, that. You meet another thing, this bob not really fits you. But and it's still okay. Tell me, different color. Tell me you've not seen someone who has. I've not seen you at least wear this kind of reddish bob. But you be like, I don't know, this bob not really fit you. Shall you get?
it may not fit you, but at least compliment the fact that it's new, it's different, and so on and so forth. Hannah Matthews, she just says, hello, Pastor. She says, gaslighting thrives in African and German marriages and family. Absolutely. It does. So this person would withhold affection. For instance, you win, it's someone to hug you, like, you did well done, you know. You are celebrated, and the person would actually just reach out and say, will just send you a text message, happy birthday. Why people are writing things that seem to be life changing, or things that the ways you have affected them. This person is in close contact with you. We send a person that almost sounds like, if not be sick, when they're not so, let me just write it. You know, that kind of thing. It happens to a lot of times. You find someone say, oh, you led the leading today was fantastic, the worship today was fantastic, the way you moderated our meeting today was fantastic. I look at the good points of it, I like the way you highlighted, blah, 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 blah. You know, they'll be like, I think next time you learn to speak that louder, your voice was a bit cracky. You don't know if you have a cold or that day you woke up something was, you know, they would pick on the thing that is, you know, you already noticed went wrong with it, and that is all because they want to abuse. So, for instance, you come on your child that very day, you're like, you know what, I'm done with chasing after this student to dress whatever you want to wear, just wear. Let's be going out. At least they're clean. You go out. Esther, your children are looking all tidy. They are better now. Why would they do like this? No, I know, no. Did you get? Everyone is that. My kids had never, I remember, I don't remember ever when I was growing up, being the same church assembly, you know, dressed always, I took pride in the way my children looked. I was selling clothes, and it was so, I mean, children's clothes, what was I supposed to do? So when I would go and buy like a dozen, I would make sure that my children's age were in there. So, of course, they had clothes every time, at any point in time. There was always a washing machine for the people working for me to be able to use to clean the clothes so that you didn't feel tired. If you handle some of these things with your household, you would have a better working staff. That's just that. So I knew I didn't have a problem with that, but this particular day, I was supposed to do something interesting. I left pretty early, and my kids came with my cousin. So they went, they came church afterward, and I'm walking up to go do something in the other part of the church, and I started looking stuffy. They were clean clothes, but he wore one very old shirt of his. I knew he loved the shirt, but I thought he was wearing them. But I guess that morning he woke up, and you know, old clothes represent comfort. And so he was wearing that shirt. And knowing my child, I knew, or just knowing a child, you know that there are some things we wear it's simply for comfort. They were having a rough day. Probably he felt bad and left them and left them with their cousin in a taxi or something. But he wore that particular shirt, and it was not particularly ironed. It wasn't ironed, and the neck, of course, was feeling the shirt. Underneath was a brand new shirt, and the trousers too was an okay one. And then his shoes, he didn't clean them, so they were black and of course had white dust. It was my time period. I remember that picture vividly because I had a conversation last week concerning a matter like this. And then so I see him and I'm already livid. I go, my God, why? How? And as I come up, I see this auntie in church. She walks up and she said, I just saw your son. I called him. I said, I have never looked untidy. Why are you looking like this? Why are you looking all rough? Why are you doing this? I was shocked. I didn't mind the criticism, to be very honest. But it was the fact that she had never told me. She's been there since I got married. She's seen the kids through. And this kid was like 13, 12 or 13 at that point in time. Yeah, he was about 13 then. And she hadn't, in 13 years, he was the first one. She had never wanted to, oh, Hadiza, she don't always look neat, look exceptionally clean, they always look this, blah, blah. But at this particular time, she told, and she was saying the very, I didn't really like it concerned her. So immediately I knew I was going to go with that and that to my kid. I just told her, take off the shirts, just tie it on your waist and leave the other shirt on. And that's it. And I said, Osile said, go to the bathroom, try and brush the shoes. You still have one more Sunday service to go to. I just find it untidy. And he was like, okay. I was like, I'm sorry, man, no problem. I said, use the edge of your shirt, wet it in the bathroom, use to clean your shoes. But you see, that particular person chose to do that. That is abuse. Yes, that is abuse. If you don't do that. She could have even called the kid and said, if she said she actually called him, someone asked me that she was actually screaming. The way she was talking to me was when she was screaming at me in front of everybody. She had not called and said, oh, Jesse, I like the way you dress. You're always looking like this. Your mom is really shy. And never. Instead, she chose that day to scream at him. And from that, he totally avoided her. I think in this moment, he's 22, he avoids her like crazy. So you see where abuse can be. You meet someone, Lisa, why is your hair looking untidy today? She had never told you your hair. Don't stand for it. I don't take it from you. I used to. I don't. I would actually walk away if I have respect for you. I don't. If really, whatever will go, I will not burn. I would tell you, I'll say, please, auntie, you've not complimented me when I look. Why do you think you should talk to me about it? I really appreciate if you told me the days I look good, so that when you tell me a day like this, I'll take it, I'll walk away. Do you understand? These are kind of abuses. This is the very, this is what, for me, this is one of actually the ones that I find very, it is the passive aggressive one. They seem like they're for your good, but they're actually out to destroy your esteem, pull you down, and dampen your day and dampen whatever is going on in your life. You've always cleaned the office very well. You've always cleaned your room very well. This particular day, someone walks, yes. If she wanted to help, she could have been, actually she could have. The boy felt so bad. He was totally embarrassed. And he's my most emotional child. He was utterly, if I met him, he looked like he was about to cry. So I said to him, "Oh, you do the shirt, just take off the shirt, tie it up." I'm sure she was just going to, but I was like, no, I'm not going to transfer what this woman just told me to this child. I'm just going to make sure that I offer him the emotional help he needs at this point, realizing that he was wearing a shirt that represented comfort to him. And so I need to give him more comfort. And it was good. At the end of the day, I don't think he ever went looking that bad ever to church. He did maybe one or two things, and then he would find himself trying to fix up the things by himself. In fact, it got to a point that when the siblings are going to be like, what do you do? Ask him, what do you think about how I look? What if I had missed out on the opportunity to show them that I'm an African mother who needs to control her child, and then I screamed at my child in front of everybody? She very done that. And that was enough punishment and control. So you need to be careful about these people. Anybody who is passive aggressive, they always seem to think that they are out for your good, but then they end up embarrassing you and putting you in your place. These are the ones that leave you go sleepless. They make you doubt the way you dress, the way you cook, the way you are being a wife or a husband or a boyfriend or a leader, or how you write or how you communicate. You are given an opportunity to probably present something. You said with this shaky voice, they go like, you couldn't speak very well. Normally when you're talking, you talk very well. When you took the microphone, I was disappointed. Have they ever told you when you were talking to them one-on-one that you sounded very well and that they complimented and appreciated the way you spoke, or that they liked the way your accent sounded? No. So be careful with these kinds of questions. The next one is neglect. Neglect is a form of abuse that involves the failure to provide the basic necessity of life, such as food, shelter, clothing, medical, and emotional support. I talked about that briefly, but that is for me, especially when you have some sort of working agreement with people. Naomi says many parents build on the comments of passive-aggressive abusers to correct their kids in public rather than protect their kids. Absolutely, truly. We as parents, we do that a lot. Someone complains about your child. See, it got to a point in my children's school, they would call me first to tell me about their child so that we talk about who we the child. But once you've called the child, you've punished the child, you've scored the child, ultimately there's nothing I can do. You've done your part. I would have a conversation with the child, but I'm not going to do any punishment because you have already carried it out. So there's no point for all of us to bash the person. The child must always find a place of comfort or someone who represents help. So it's either you as a teacher are going to present help or going to present help. You have to choose a path. I always tell my kids, you have to choose one. So we know who it is. If you are his place where he will, or her place where she can go and talk to about problems, then let me be the person who punishes, who administers any form of punishment or correction that would, fix it. There must always be a good cop, bad cop in a child's life. You must make sure that it's not every time a child goes, you do right, you don't pay attention. I know we don't have testing for children to tell when they have attention deficit or problems in their lives, or they have reading disorders, and so then they go, then they go, they're looking for who know me, who understand me. And when you come to a place of rebellion, you are lost. Then you come for prayer points and questions. Let me move. I'll be parenting. Okay, so the next, so the other one I talked about, this last one, neglect. So giving of money restricted, You can't sleep in this place, you can't lie down here, you can't sit here, that's abuse. That's abuse. You can't sit here, you can't lie down here, you can't touch this, you can't do this, you can't do this. You're going to the hospital, no, every time I go to the hospital, I better go to the prayer houses, but I've seen it. There's a child I was helping to pay her medical bill. She came in as a mentee to my level. I found out that she was being neglected by her parents. She had a seizure situation in her life. And because I'd had a child who had suffered from seizure, I just took a liking to her. In fact, my son who had suffered from seizure, in his mind, he has adopted her. Every time he calls, he's asking of her. And so I realized that her parents insist she go for prayers. Like, it's not a medical thing, it's a spiritual thing. And for her, it was shocking to her that I said it was more of this medical thing than a spiritual thing. And I began to tell her, because I had to do a study concerning it because of my son. But what I realized in that parents' life was that they decided they were not going to help her. So this child, at a very young age of 20, began to work, wasn't going to further education. And so she was working, doing menial work, and a very eloquent lady. In fact, you think she has a degree already. She was doing virtual assistance and all kinds of things to pull together money so she takes herself for treatment. Her parents, in this case, are abusing her by denying her the basic rights, which is the health. The government in Nigeria is a failure by itself by not providing someone with that kind of situation their basic health. But one thing I must say is that, like I always would say, I am a proponent of health insurance. Get yours down to your house, register them for health insurance. Your children, as little as 1,000 naira per month, as little as 2,500, will get them the basic medication and health they need, versus having to abuse them and deny them. Your house help is sick, Panadol. Just take 1,000, 2,500, put in the health insurance. And when they're ill, put in the hospital. Do you understand? So whether it's you're giving them to general hospital or private hospital, which make you look like an angel to the rest of us, just do that. It's their right. If you deny them that right, it's abuse. If you get by a man who says, in my family, they don't do a cesarean, a woman is not a woman, she doesn't go through the labor pain. By the way, giving birth by cesarean is 1 million times more painful than natural birth. I can tell you this first. And 1 million times, I would rather give birth naturally than give birth as cesarean. Cesarean is between life and death, as it were. So when you find someone who does cesarean, please shake them, congratulate them for being the land of the living. And then you come up and say it's not the right way to have my family. That's abuse. That's abuse. If you are with anyone like that, they're abusing you. Okay, so the last one is microaggression. Microaggressions are subtle, often unintentional forms of discrimination that can be harmful to a victim's mental and emotional well-being. It can include comments, gestures, behaviors that convey negative stereotypes or assumptions of a person's identity. So let me give you an example of this. When you see someone and say blackie, that's abuse. See your blackface, that is abuse. It's funny. You say black, that's abuse. That's discriminating the person. With your blackface, you must stand here as you are blacker than the rest of them, darker than the rest of us. That is abuse. So my kids are dark because my husband is dark. So they took his complexion. But I think my third one just, but my two first kids are dark. And let me tell you, every time I've seen a dark child, to me, it's like I've seen angel. I love their complexion, like extremely love my kids' complexion. I love dark skinned people. Why do I feel like like this black and my skinned kids? So my kids go to school, and then every now and then, apparently, the physical teacher would go blackie, you blackie. So my son had it one day, and he came home. Okay, no, so my son didn't say anything. I think it was my daughter who came home. And she tells me, she says, Mommy, I'm tired of this thing. No, this is what happened. My son comes to my room and starts with my cream. I'm like, why is your cream? Why are you having your cocoa butter? He goes, no, I want to lighten my skin. I'm like, why? He was like, oh, because in school, this goes on and goes on. So I called him and like, what's happening? And then my daughter goes, oh, since I was in primary school, they call me blackie. And this particular teacher throughout JS called me blackie, blah, blah. So I told my husband, I said, you need to hear this conversation. So they decided to talk about how we call them blackie, blah, 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 blah. And my husband is livid. I already have gone off the hook. I was getting ready to go to school. I was already upset. He goes, no, let me handle it. So he goes to school and we have that conversation. Funny enough, the proprietor of school is very dark skinned and she loves her skin, would do anything to protect her skin. I don't have this, we've been friendly, and she does anything and everything to make sure that skin is as smooth and shiny black. So she gets to get this conversation. She's calling me babe. Then what? Discrimination, blah, blah. That's when it happens in your child's class. Ask them. If your child is very fair, they call him yellow papa, yellow, albino, all kinds of words. Do you get? So you need to handle it. It's a form of abuse. And long enough, they'll put that child in a place where they can manipulate him. So they want to put that, come as a black person, child, you have to get them on phone. So you don't complete the sentence. You call the child, you say, Jesse comes. He would jump and come because he knows that if he hesitates a bit, you say, Blackie, I'm not talking to you. So some people say you should be proud of your skin. So what if I looked at you and I say to you, for instance, if you didn't have enough hair on your body and I told you, let's say I say bald chicken or bald vulture, or I say vulture, come here, because you don't have hair on your head. Vultures don't have. Or if I looked at you looking tall and I said, Tolo, come here, how would you feel? It's the same thing. If I look at you and I say, Camel, come here, how would you feel? If there's people you have funny face and I look at you and say, snake face, come here, how would you feel? So what gives you the right to call someone black? Yellow purple, horrible? What? It's all a form of manipulation. See, my kid, I said my daughter when she was younger, she was really lumpy. See, I used to overfeed my kids because I'd never liked kids like skinny. So I like kids looking plumpy. My particular kid will eat. One day, somebody made the mistake of saying, hey, Orobo, I said to her, ever. Because she was holding down, I said, give me my child. She did ever. I said, you think my mom, my child look like you, like 8 patients? I knew I was really wrong. But honestly, it just was, I knew it, and the kid was like 7 months. I didn't really understand, but for me, you do know what it means to for me, so my child look that plump. But see, if I allow that, the child will get to when she can understand and say, and it's not a joke. It's abuse. It's abuse. You look at someone and you think you are conveying a negative stereotype. It's stereotyping. Shorty, small pepper. Yellow. Those are all abuse. They are abuse. You will say to that person long enough. You say if the person give themselves a nickname in that effect, that's their business. They've come to accept themselves for that. But if I don't say to you, I give myself a certain name, you don't have permission to give me that name. You are conveying a stereotype. It means that I belong to a group of certain disadvantaged people. That's what it means. So you need to look out, and it's an assumption about person's identity. So you go, is it not sure people always angry? No, I may be short to you, but I'll be the best size for someone else to love me. Don't put me pin size and the likes of it. It's important to recognize that any form of abuse, whether subtle or overt, is unacceptable and can have serious long-term effects on the victim's mental and physical health. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, it's very important that you seek help and support from trusted family, friends, and professionals. Yes, Pastor Hannah says, sadly, these things, offenses have become normal to us. In fact, we make jokes about it. It seems like you should accept it, not be joke. Now, apply the bill. No, it's a stereotype. It's a stereotype. I remember years ago, were in the car with a friend of ours, and so had some alterations with some people by the roadside. I think it was mechanic or the bike person was there, and the person said, look at you, he said to her, look at you, just over there. She said to look at you, just go like that. The guy it was mechanic that said, when you tell us if you not think I say God no metal like that. So you see to they should not be good. When someone starts to point at the fault inside of you, when they have never earned the right by complimenting when you had done wrong, know that this person is setting up for abuse. I hope that I'll be able to help you today see that there are stages to groom abuse, stages of abuse that happen, and at every stage the person is grooming you so that you can have a control over your life and continually abuse you, enslave you to their mentality or narcissistic nature or whatever it is that they're going to do. A lot of times hurting people hurt. Whoever you're dealing with is a hurt person who has not dealt with their past, so you need to deal with it. But if you find yourself experiencing any of these ones that I have explained about anyone, or even you being the one making it out to someone else, let's ask you that you need to find help. You or the person may have find help. When someone needs help, abused and abuser need to find help. You need to know how to control your anger, your controlling issues, your passive aggressive nature, or whatever it is that you come up as a narcissistic person seeking to control someone else's life. You are not God and you're not here to control or shape anybody's life. If you have a child and you wish to control and shape their life, act better, speak better, and do better, and you would replicate that same kind of person. I tell you the truth. So I hope today I've helped you in She Talk to see that we have very subtle but very extreme abusive nature that we go about, especially in Nigeria, and we call it normal, joke, or whatever it is. This is She Talk with me, Hadiza Patrick Akara. I hope you're back here tomorrow night for Sex Talk, and I hope you join me then. Thank you. Let me share with Damage. She's a therapist. You can reach out to her. She's an idea if you need a therapist. I can tell you that she's one of the best therapists you go to. And I also have Pastor Hannah Matthews Ochido. I'd like to thank you, ladies, for participating. For the rest of you who are watching and selecting watching, thank you. Please do share my video, like it, comment, and let someone else gain in whatever way you feel you can. Thank you very much, and God bless you guys. Thank you. Have a lovely, lovely day. I'm off to the week convention.